Hello, beautiful people. Dawn, your tarot teacher here. Join me now as we step into the cosmic dance of destiny, the Wheel of Fortune. This marks a pivotal moment, the lowest point in the soul's journey through form, where spirit is fully immersed in the material world. It is the descent into density, into the realm of physical experience, limitation, and learning. But this turning also signifies the beginning of ascent, the shift from unconscious existence towards conscious awareness. The wheel becomes a threshold, a gateway into higher understanding. It invites us to move beyond surface reality and begin the inner journey of awakening. The hermit represents introspection, wisdom, and the quiet voice of truth within. With his guidance, we begin to see through illusion and recognize the deeper patterns at play. Then the wheel spins and fate calls as we are tested. We are summoned to rise, to respond to a higher purpose. This call often disrupts comfort and familiarity, pushing us into unknown territory. It is not random, it is precise, aligned with our soul's growth. This is not blind fate, it is the echo of our own soul's intention, calling us to rise, to evolve, and to step into greater alignment with our purpose. We are summoned to a higher path, one we will co-create with Source. This is the moment of transformation, where the old self begins to dissolve. It is the moment of surrender, where control gives way to trust. And it is the moment of evolution, where we step into a more authentic, expanded version of who we are. The Wheel of Fortune is number 10 in the Major Arcana, and now we are getting into double digits. This number carries layered symbolic meaning. The 1 represents individuality, will, and conscious direction, much like the magician, who initiates action and channels intention. The 0, on the other hand, is the void, the unmanifest, the limitless potential, the essence of the fool, who journeys with openness and trust. Together, 1 and 0 form a symbolic gate. The 1 walks through the 0, consciousness entering the field of infinite possibility. It marks the beginning of a new cycle, where personal will meets the unknown and transformation begins. This is not just a number, it is a formula for evolution. The self, the 1, must pass through the void, 0, to be renewed, reshaped, and reoriented toward higher purpose. 10 is powerful. It speaks of completion. If we look at the number 9, it represents conclusion, culmination, and inner mastery. The final stage before a new cycle begins. In the Major Arcana, the 9 is embodied by the hermit, who withdraws from the world to integrate wisdom and prepare for what comes next. Then comes the 10, the Wheel of Fortune. On the surface, it appears to be a new number, but its essence, its inner essence, is still the 1, now emerging from the completed cycle of 9. The 0 that accompanies it represents the void, the unknown, the space between endings and beginnings. So in a deeper sense, 10 is not entirely new. It is 1 reborn through 0. The self re-emerges, but now transformed by the journey through 9. Likewise, the inner essence of the hermit is the magician, the one who acts with conscious will, but now with wisdom gained through introspection. This reveals a hidden continuity. The hermit prepares the magician to return, not as a beginner, but as a conscious co-creator, stepping through the wheel into a new cycle of becoming. The Hebrew letter associated with this card is Kaf, which means palm of the hand, a symbol of receptivity, containment, and potential. It represents the ability to hold, to shape, and to receive the forces of destiny. The turning of the wheel is not random, it is held within the palm of divine order, even when it feels chaotic. In Kabbalah and the Tree of Life, the Wheel of Fortune is associated with Path 21, which is the path in between Chesed and Netzach. The path represents the movement from the divine benevolence and structure of Chesed towards the desire, emotion, and creative drive of Netzach. It's a dynamic path, one of change, momentum, and unfolding of destiny. The wheel turns here, not randomly, but as part of a greater spiritual architecture. Kaf is the receptivity and ability to hold and shape fate. The path teaches that fortune is not luck, but the result of alignment and higher laws and cycles. Now let's take a closer look at the imagery of this card. In the four corners we see the four holy living creatures, a bull, an eagle, a lion, and a man. These are not just animals, they are multi-layered symbols. They represent the four fixed signs of the zodiac: Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. They are the guardians of the four watchtowers, anchoring the cardinal directions in ceremonial magic. And they are the living creatures described in the visions of Ezekiel in the book of Revelation, angelic beings that surround the divine throne. At the centre of the card is the wheel itself, the axis of change and cosmic movement. It is surrounded by three concentric circles representing the planes of creation, a reference to the four worlds of Kabbalah. The first is Atzilut, the world of divine emanation. The second world is Bria, the world of creation. Then we have Yetzirah, the world of formation. And then we have Asya, the world of action and matter. The four worlds play a foundational role in the structure and interpretation of the Minor Arcana. The central point of the wheel is Source, the divine spark from which all things radiate. From this centre extend 8 spokes, symbolising the radiation of universal energy into the manifest world. Around the wheel we find alchemical symbols: salt on the left, which is the body and the fixed principle; sulphur on the right, which is the soul, the fiery essence; Mercury at the top, which is the spirit, the fluid mediator; and at the bottom the symbol of dissolution, the breaking down of form to allow transformation. The outer ring of the wheel represents the material world. Inscribed on it are the letters T-A-R-O, which can be read in a continuous cycle: Tarot, Rota, Orat, Torah, Ator, which reads Rota, the wheel; Tarot, the tarot; Orat, speaks; Torah, the law; Ator, Hathor, the Egyptian goddess of nature and love. Together they form a mystical sentence. The wheel of Tarot speaks the law of Hathor. This is the law of nature, of rhythm, and of universal order. Also inscribed are the 4 Hebrew letters of the divine name, which in the material world you will see described as Yahweh. But now that we've been going through these cards and the Hebrew letters, we can reveal that the tetragrammaton is Yod He Vov He, Yod He Vov He, representing the unfolding of divine will through the 4 worlds. On the outer rim we see 3 beings in motion: a yellow serpent descending, symbolising the vibration of energy as it moves into matter; the Hermanubis, a jackal-headed figure and a fusion of Hermes and Anubis, representing the evolution of consciousness through cycles; and at the top the Sphinx, the guardian of mystery and the true self beyond ego. It holds a sword of discernment, symbolising clarity, awareness and liberation. The Sphinx remains unmoved at the top of the wheel, a symbol of equilibrium amidst change. It is the still point in the turning world, the heart of the great work. The wheel is orange, the colour of solar life force, creative energy, vitality and expansion. The clouds surrounding it represent Jupiter, the planet of growth, abundance and divine law, the ruling force behind this card. In the alchemical process, this card corresponds to dissolution, the breaking down of old structures to release the spirit for transformation. It follows calcination and prepares the self for authenticity by stirring unconscious patterns and initiating change. The Wheel of Fortune brings abundance, prosperity and expansion, but it also demands that we move with it. It teaches us to align with the laws and cycles of the universe, to embrace change and to trust the flow of life. The esoteric title of this card is The Lord of the Forces of Light. This reveals its deeper function beyond surface symbolism. It governs the dynamic energies that move creation forward, the forces of illumination, expansion and divine order. The wheel is not simply about chance or change, it is the mechanism through which light, consciousness enters and flows through the cycles of existence. It teaches us to align with universal law, to trust the rhythm of transformation, and to recognize that every turn of the wheel is part of a greater unfolding of spiritual purpose. Now let's take a look at the astrological correspondences of this card. Elementally, the Wheel of Fortune blends air and fire, thought and movement, intellect and will. It is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion and divine timing. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, which is linked to the 9th house of higher learning and spiritual journeys. It co-rules Pisces, connected to the 12th house of dreams and the unconscious, and is exalted in Cancer, associated with the 4th house of emotional roots and inner security. This planetary influence reinforces the wheel's role in guiding us through cycles of transformation, always toward greater awareness and alignment. The core meanings of the Wheel of Fortune are accomplishment, mastery, success, and expansion. The rewards of aligning with universal cycles and trusting the flow of life. But in its shadow aspect, the card can reveal apathy, compulsion, or an inability to recognize choices. It may reflect feeling stuck in repetitive patterns, resisting change, or being caught in the illusion that fate is fixed rather than fluid. So ask yourself, where am I being called to surrender to the flow? What cycles am I resisting, and what might happen if I let go? Can I trust the rhythm of life to guide me to my highest good? Be sure to journal any insights as they come. The Wheel of Fortune reminds us that destiny is not fixed, it is fluid. We are not victims of fate, but co-creators of our journey. When we align with the cosmic rhythm, we expand, we evolve, and we rise. And so the Fool meets the Wheel, the great turning spiral of life. And from it the Fool learns that change is not chaos, but cosmic choreography. That fate is not punishment, but possibility. That the wheel turns not to trap us, but to free us. Next, we meet Justice, the keeper of balance, truth, and karmic law. Join me next as the Fool steps onto the scales of divine order.